Let's spend some time together and I'll show you how to make this super cute mini Dachshund puppy. This pattern is included in my new Puppies Part 2 pattern that includes 12 new patterns to make puppies and mini puppies. Here we have my original doggy pattern, which is the same size as my loaf cats. Then we have the puppy pattern, which is basically a medium-sized doggy. And we have the mini, which is an extra small little guy. This poodle one is one of my favorites. Tallied it all up, and out of my 3 doggies and puppy patterns, I officially have 38 different patterns for different breeds of dogs. And these minis usually take me about 20 minutes. It's a fun little plushie that's very easy to make. So let's head over to my desk and I'll show you everything we're going to be using today to make some cute little plushies together. For yarn today, we're going to be using blanket style chenille yarn. Premier Basix Brights, and it's pretty much equivalent to the soft Bernat blanket. They're about the same weight and texture, so I use them interchangeably, and it's great. They actually have a brown color. Bernat blanket Sienna, what I used to use, I'm pretty sure it's discontinued or no one can find it anywhere. And then this is Bernat blanket Coral Blossom. For the nose of the puppy, we're going to be using cotton worsted weight yarn. This is a brand called Sugar and Cream. I'm going to be using 16mm eyes that I painted in this pretty blue color. And these are the ones with the really good backs that never come off, but they're super hard to put on. So I'm going to also be using this safety eye tool that I made. Yarn needle and stitch markers, and a 6.5mm crochet hook. As you can see, we'll be following along on page 6 for the little Dachshund. There's 12 patterns included in this PDF. 6 of them are for the mini dogs, and then 6 of them are for the puppies, which are a little bit larger, and they're all for different breeds. I even made some new breeds that I've never made. If you like my videos, you like my patterns, and you want to support me as an artist, you can always pick up a PDF copy of my patterns, and that really helps me out. You can join my Patreon to get free patterns every month, and you can always just like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube. Everything counts, and it all means a lot to me. So to start off, we're going to make a magic circle. Loop around, pull through, make a slip stitch, and are ready to go. We'll always just ignore that first slip stitch. We're not going to count it or anything. And now we're going to make 8 single crochets around the magic circle. I'm sorry I haven't made a video in so long. I kind of just got obsessed with writing patterns, and I think I wrote 4 or 5 patterns in the last few weeks that I've been gone from YouTube. So sorry about that, but I have some new patterns if you want to try them out. And it's weird because I am actually kind of nervous filming this, and like I keep messing up and stuff. Or like I forgot how to speak English. How about that? So we have our 8 single crochets and we just pulled it tight, and now we're going to single crochet around. And you'll notice this pattern is a little different from the loaf cats and kittens, because we do want the puppies to have a little bit of a snout, and that's why we're single crocheting around right now instead of going right into the increase row, because when you go right into the increase row, you're making a flat circle. If you single crochet around before doing that, you can make a little snout area for the dog. And now for row 3, we can increase around. I was a little bummed about my last puppy pattern video because I don't know why. Maybe it is because I was super awkward because it was the first video I was like technically on camera for, but people really didn't like it. I get comments all the time. I appreciate constructive criticism comments, but not mean ones. So I was considering for a while just like removing it, but whatever. I try not to like rewatch my videos because it's just cringe. But I think the reason people didn't like it is because I was changing colors too much. So this time I thought I'd do one of the solid color puppies just so you can see the pattern and you don't have to worry about changing colors. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch. So 1 single crochet, increase in the next stitch, and repeat that for a total of 8 times. So basically we're just going to be adding 8 more stitches to this row because we'll have 8 increases evenly spaced throughout the row. I changed the puppies and minis version of this pattern a little bit from my original floppier doggy pattern when it comes to adding the ears, just to try to make the pattern a little more forgiving for different people's tensions, different people's yarn. Because before I had a chain one space where the ears would be placed, and this time I basically got rid of that. So you could place the ears anywhere and not have to worry about lining up with the chain one spaces. And now for these 3 rows, like I was saying in the bigger puppy pattern, this is where I would single crochet a specific amount and then chain 1 and do the same. And those chain 1s would be the spaces to surface crochet the ears on later. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to single crochet around for 3 rows. Those 3 rows will be where we're going to surface crochet the ears on. There's just not going to be any chains on it, and that'll open it up so you don't really have to worry about whether they're even or not. You can place your ears wherever you want. So go ahead and single crochet around for 3 rows. My pattern testers have been sending me pictures of the plushies they've been making, and a few people made the mini dachshunds, and they made the middle part like a rainbow, and it was so pretty. It looked like the little puppy was wearing a sweater. Hold on, I'll show you on one I already have made. Like this part, they made red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It was so cute. I also want to apologize about my bird video. I did not notice you guys like the bird series so much. Just in the past week, I've gotten like 5 comments being like, Annie, it's been a year since your last bird video. Annie, bring the birds back. Where are the birds, Annie? I'll put together some like cute pairings of 2 birds that go together, or 3, and then I'll see what people would be interested in. Okay, there we go. Crocheted around for 3 rows. So those will be the 3 rows that we're going to be surface crocheting the ears on later. I'll show you how to do that when we get there. Don't stress out about it. It's not hard. So now for row 8, we're going to add the little feet. So we're going to single crochet 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be making a bobble stitch. And you can make this with 3, 4, or 5 double crochets. Usually I do 3 for the minis, 4 for the puppies, and 5 for the doggies. So you just yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And see, we basically just made a double crochet, and if we wanted to, we would pull through again and finish off that double crochet. But we're not going to do that. We're basically going to make 3 double crochets without finishing each one, all in the same stitch. So there we go. We have 3, and we have 4 loops on our hook. And now to pull it all together, I kind of pull it tight and push the underside out with my finger before pulling through all 4 loops on your hook. And again, you can pull it tight. Now we're going to want to do 3 single crochets between it. I'll do them real quick because it's hard to see when it's just there, but when it's between single crochets you can see it well. And just pulling that first single crochet tight so it really pops out and looks like something, because if it's too loose you might not notice it. And if you don't notice it, you can try to do 4 or even 5. Let's do another bobble stitch made with 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Pull through, pull tight, and do that next single crochet tight. So now we're just going to single crochet the rest of the way around until we make it back to our stitch marker. We're basically past the hard part and any part that requires thinking other than adding the ears. Now is a great time to stop and add the eyes, and you can sew on the nose now if you want to, or you can wait to the end. I prefer to wait to the end because, you know, when you stuff a plushie, it's all going to get like kind of mixed up and different. And I want the nose to look perfect, so I'll add it on last so it doesn't get squished around. And the same with the ears. Sometimes stuff moves around when you're stuffing it. So let's add the eyes now. We'll finish the rest of the plushie, and then we can go back and add details like the nose and the ears, and we won't have to worry about them moving around. So I'm going to be adding the eyes between rows 3 and 4, slightly above the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to add them like right here. And if you can see, that's like right where the snout goes up. And I just say slightly above the center because The spacing is kind of up to you, and we can move them around if we don't. I'm kind of using bigger size eyes for this one than I normally would use like 14, but when I made the Rottweiler, I did 16 eyes. He just looks like a cute little baby. I can't stand it. So that looks good to me. So if we're looking between rows 3 and 4, you kind of have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 5 stitches visible. Just whatever looks good to you. And now I'm gonna secure them. And this is small, so with small plushies, instead of like fighting everything, I'm just gonna turn it inside out, and it'll be really easy to put the eyes on. I made this eye tool to work with sizes 14mm all the way up to 25mm, because those are the sizes I use the most. And you can either do it this way to put it on. I like to go like this unless I'm really struggling with it, and then I'll turn it around the other way and try it out. And to use it, I literally just put all of my weight on it until I hear it click once. You can click it more if you want. Your eyes will just be very sunken into the plushie. I want my eyes to kind of sit flush with the plushie, so I only do it once, but it is very secure. Believe me, I have tried to get these off in the past when I messed up, and you have to use like wire cutters to cut the back off, and it is so hard. They're not going to come loose. So there we go. We can already see a little guy taking shape. The next part is super easy. I'm going to show you a little bit how to single crochet with the bobble stitches, because that can be like a little tricky sometimes. And then I'll leave you to do the next few rows by yourself, because it's just single crocheting around, and I'm fully confident you guys can do that. So we're just going to start single crocheting, and now you notice we made it to the bobble. Let me see right there. Just going to insert a hook and single crochet normally. And then you do want to be careful you're not missing this stitch, because if you can see, this stitch, that top, those 2 loops are part of this stitch. So we don't want to miss that space right next to the bobble, because that's fairly common and sometimes it can be very hard to see. So 1, 2, 3 between the feet. And then right here, it's going to be the one on the bobble. And then that next one, that's kind of hidden sometimes. So now, including this row, you're going to single crochet around for 7 rows. And this part is totally up to interpretation. You could keep going and make this the longest dachshund ever. You could make it one of those cool like draft guards for the bottom of your doors. That'd be really cute. But you can make it as long or as short as you'd like to. It's totally up to you. I think 7 is a good number and looks pretty long without looking strange. So let's single crochet around for 7 rows, and then I'll meet back up with you. So I just finished 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I wanted to point out that crochet naturally will move to the right, because we're always making our stitch in the right of the stitch from the row before. So as you can see, our starting point kind of moved up a little bit, but how much this moves kind of depends on your hook, your tension, what yarn you're using, just how you crochet. So I adjusted it in the written pattern, but it might be different for you. So I'll show you a really easy way. Make sure they're even before you make them. So to compensate for the stitches moving, instead of 2 single crochets, we're going to be doing 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to place a foot there. So place a stitch marker right there so you can see where the foot's going to land. Then 1, 2, 3 stitches between. And then that's where our next foot should be. And that looks pretty good to me. Now, if you do this and it doesn't line up, you can move it either which way. It's not going to affect the pattern at all. I'm basically making a big tube, so we're not increasing or decreasing right now. So you can move the bobble stitches either way. I'm going to do 3, which is what is written in the pattern. I'm going to do a 3 double crochet bobble stitch. Oops. Don't want to finish it. I've been working on wearable shawl pattern, so I've been making lots of double crochets, so muscle memory just took over for a second. Now we can pull through all 4 loops that are on our hook, and I'm pushing the back so that it doesn't really go into the plushie. It pokes out. Now make 3 single crochets between, and then we're gonna make our other bobble stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up the loop, pull through 2, and do that 3 times. Now push the back with our finger, pull through, pull tight, and now you're just going to single crochet all the way back around to the stitch marker. And if you had to move your paws one way or the other, this number might be different for you. Don't add or subtract any stitches, like don't do any increases or decreases to try and match the number. As long as you have 1 single crochet in every crochet going around, you'll be fine. We're just making a tube. Let's move our stitch marker, and then we're just going to single crochet around again. And I'll just show you really quickly how to do the bobble stitches again. There's a bobble stitch, that's like the top part. I'm just going to go under the top part, single crochet, and then we don't want to miss that next one. There's 3 single crochets between the feet. Okay, there we go. I made it. I always forget something in the beginning for materials, but you're gonna need polyfill. And then we're just gonna stuff the plushie. And the only tip I have for this, I like to stuff my plushies firmer, but you do want to be careful. You can see right now there's like no stuffing in there whatsoever. So sometimes I'll just like push a bunch down there. You can take your crochet hook, insert it, and then you can pull it into the snout, and it's easier to do it that way than stuffing it, because if you tried to stuff it with like a wadded up thing of stuffing, you would feel the difference. But try to be mindful to keep him in his hot dog form instead of making him a puppy ball. Going forward, you can add more stuffing after each row. For this row, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and then an invisible decrease, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to repeat that 8 times all together. So to do an invisible decrease, we're going to pull up the front loop only, pull up front loop only, and we're going to pull through again. So we basically just turn 2 stitches into 1, and by doing it in the front loop only instead of both loops, it makes the area thinner and kind of blend in more. So 1 single crochet, invisible decrease. So we're just going to repeat that 8 times around, and now for the last row we're going to invisible decrease all the way around. We want to get back to having 8 stitches, so then we can sew it closed. Okay, here's the last one, and then I'm going to leave a longer tail just so I don't have to worry. I had them tied to my desk for like a week and then they went missing. So fasten off, and now this is kind of your last chance to stuff it. So I'm going to stuff him a little bit more. Make sure he's the shape that you want. And this was with 7 rows. Yeah, if you wanted to, you can make him as long as you wanted. I think he looks good like this. All right, let's sew it closed. So to do this, think of it kind of as a magic circle or one big invisible decrease. We're going to go a loop around the front loop only of every stitch. And then when we go to pull it tight, it'll close really neatly. I didn't know about this for like a month or 2 when I first started doing plushies, and I actually like crisscross sewed up all around and it never looked neat, and this is the trick. So now pull it closed and there you go. You can barely even tell. Kind of one sticking up somewhere, so I loop around that. I'm going to tie it 3 times. And now we have a big old knot on the back, and I just like to pull it through the plushie and hide it in there forever. And then you can't even tell. We're ready to make the ears, the nose, and the tail. Let's start off with the ears. We're going to do surface crochet. It might sound weird. It's super easy, and not something to worry about. We do want them to line up and kind of be even. So I like to go about the center of the eye up. Center of the eye up. And that'll be about where we want the start of our ears to be. Kind of like right here. Almost in line with the feet. So we're going to want to surface crochet onto rows 6 to 8. So that's 1, 2, 3. So this is row 5. So 6, 7, 8, we're going to surface crochet onto. So again, just like the feet, we can plan it out with the stitch markers to make sure that's where you want your ears to be. So that's row 6, right about where the pupil is. Let's mark that. You can come over here about the pupil. We can mark that. I usually try to do like 3 or 4 stitches between the ears, and that's about 4 stitches between the ears. Just leave an end long enough to tie. See, now you guys can see, but I can't see at all. Now we're gonna want to insert our hook and go up and around a stitch in row 6. We're gonna grab our yarn, pull it through, and then for the first one, we're just gonna make a slip stitch. So go ahead and do that. You can place your end down there just so it doesn't get in your way. Or sometimes I accidentally grab it and try to work with it, and then the yarn runs out. So now we're going to do the same thing again. Insert our hook under a stitch. We're going to pull up there, and instead of making a slip stitch, let's make this one a single crochet. There we go. Let's do the same thing again. There. And now we basically have our base for our ear. That was super easy. And now for step 2 of the ear, we're going to chain 2, and the chains in the ear do count as a stitch, just to help you keep track of stuff. We're going to turn our work, yarn over, insert your hook right back into that same stitch, and make a double crochet. Now we're going to make a double crochet into that next single crochet. And then last, we're going to make a double crochet into that first slip stitch. And now we can chain 1, and we're going to turn our work again. Now we're going to make a half double crochet. So it's right in between a single crochet and a double crochet. So first you yarn over, pull through like it was a double crochet, but instead of pulling through those 2 and then going through again, you're going to pull through all 3 right now. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. We're just going to half double crochet our way down. It's going to be 4 half double crochets in total, with the last one being made in that starting chain. That's always hard to get. There we go, I got it. Okay, and there's our little ear. And now we do want to leave a longer tail. You can fasten it, and then use your yarn needle. We just want to weave the end back up into the ear to get back to the plushie. And usually I just loop around like this, and you can't really tell. And now this is how the ear looks now. If you like that, that's fine. It does look cute and floppy. I don't like it how it sticks up too much. So what I'm going to do, I left my yarn right here on row 1. I'm going to just weave in and out through the ear and through the plushie along row 1 to kind of tack it down a little bit. I just like the way that looks better, but it's totally up to you. You don't have to do this. Go around the stitch under on the plushie. That looks good to me. I just tacked it down a little so it's not super curved at the top. And now I want to meet back up with my starting end so that we can tie a knot 3 times and hide it inside the plushie. There we go. That's about where the starting end is. And I just insert my crochet hook, get as close as I can, and pull the ends and the knot inside. So this one is the one I tacked down, and this one I did not tack down. And you see the difference? It's cute, but this guy kind of looks like he's flying away. So I started tacking them down. Alright, so here's how my little puppy's going so far. I pinned both the ears, and I think he looks super cute. Let's go ahead and make the tail. I am aware that you could crochet the tail as you go, or crochet before and add it on. I don't like the way it looks with a flat base, So I just make it separate and then sew it on. It only takes an extra minute, and it is a detail you notice, so I feel like it's important. So go ahead and make a magic circle. Then we're gonna single crochet 6 and pull it tight. And now we're just gonna single crochet around for 4 rows. And just like the middle of the body, you can make this as long or as short as you would like. It's totally up to you. I kind of like the look of the shorter tails for the mini puppies, but I know some other people who make them like longer tails, so you should just be creative and experiment and see what you think looks best. And there we go. That's what my tail's looking like. I'm gonna leave the long end because we are gonna sew it on. I like to sew mine on about there and just make sure it's even with the ears and the eyes. And I kind of think even that looks a little too long just for my taste. I wasn't paying attention. I might have crocheted a few extra. My daughter and I are going on a big airplane trip next week. And we haven't been on an airplane in like a year, so I might be stressing out about it a little bit. She's very excited. I'm going to secure the front and the back of the tail first where I want it, so I don't have to worry about it moving around on me. So that's the front and the back. I can just go around and loop up and around the back and secure it down. Loop up and around the back of the stitch, secure it down. I'm just going to work my way around, securing every stitch down so it looks really neat and tidy. And I want to make sure I'm keeping that round base look because that's the whole reason that we're sewing it on instead of crocheting it on. So you don't want to accidentally sew it on flat or something. And before you do the last 2, you should check that looks centered to me. I made one the other day and the tail was completely lopsided because I wasn't paying attention again. Then we're just going to end somewhere on the back side so you don't really see it. You can grab onto a stitch, tie a knot 3 times, and hide it inside the plushie. There we go, that looks really good. Last up, let's sew on the nose and add a little blush. I'm going to be using the cotton worsted yarn. I always take too much every time, but I'd rather not run out. This is about how much. I'm going to start over on the top, not right where I'm working. And I'm headed to row 1. If you look on row 1, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 stitches on the top. You can loop your way around the top 4 or the top 3. Totally up to you. So I'm going to pull out my yarn there and leave that end so we can end there and tie them together. And now you see 1, 2, 3. I might do 4, I think would look better. I'm just going to loop around those 4 stitches and be very mindful the whole time. I don't want to be splitting my cotton yarn. I don't want to be going into a different stitch. And I kind of want to line them up because that'll look really neat and tidy. When there's details right on the face of a plushie, people tend to look at it. So these are the details you really want to pay attention to because they can make your plushie look really great or not so great. I try and pull the last few extra tight so that it looks like the nose curves in a little. I think that looks pretty good to me. I might do one more to kind of round out the bottom. And then there's 2 ways to do the bottom part, which we're going to do next. I'll show you the 2 options. So one is going down and making like a V underneath the nose, and the other one is just going down once. So now I got the dog's nose looking how I want. If I want to do down the middle, I would go in and come out here and go up to the middle once. Since I want to do 2, I'm going to go over here and then go up, then go over here and then go up. This to be hidden under the nose. So we're going to kind of go up below the nose and then down. And for a moment it might mess your nose up a little bit, but we can tidy it up when we're all done. There we go. And now do the same thing. Go through that. Then we want to end right where we started. He's looking a little rough before I fix him up. To kind of fix him up a little. And there we go. That looks better. Maybe I should have used black because it would stand out a little more. Now let's add a little blush and we'll be done. We're basically gonna do the same thing as when we added the nose. We're gonna start over from the side and then we're gonna go where we want, which is basically right next to the eye, and then loop around the stitch 1 or 2 times. That looks good to me. And then we can go and right where we started, tie that knot 3 times and hide it inside the plushie. And there we go, your cute little Dachshund puppy is all done. These are super quick to make and a great little market plushie. I hope you liked the video and I'll try and make another one soon, so hopefully I won't be gone for that long. Like always, I wanted to take a second to thank all of my Patreon members. I appreciate their support and I always love their feedback and help with my patterns. I just showed them this guy is like Mothman, and then I made a sitting normal version of the plushie, and they really made me feel better about it because I was hesitant about showing it for like 2 weeks because it's kind of different from what I normally do for patterns. But my goal was to make more like mythical creatures. So I did the dragon and then I just finished the moth pattern. This moth pattern is kind of like a semi-Halloween-y pattern because you can turn them into like Mothman and a harvest moth, but then you could also make normal everyday Luna moth, or I don't know, I have to look up more types of moth. I have one more to make for the like how-to pictures in the pattern. If you're interested in it, I'll probably have a tester call maybe like next week because it's all typed up and ready. I just gotta get the photos. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a great weekend and that you're enjoying the last few weeks of summertime. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.